What's up, everybody? It is your sis and your friend, Crystal Cross, right here on the Morning Jam podcast, where we talk about any and everything. Personal, old snaps and claps. It's a dang good day to talk about a few things. So let's get into it. What's up, everybody? It is your sis and your friend, Crystal Cross, right here with Grace Melton.
What it do? What it do, y'all? What it do?
With our very own special guest tonight, WadeWorksStudios of Atlanta.
What up? What up? What's up? What's happening? Right. Oh, that's where we at? Okay, all right.
But welcome, Wade, to the Morning Jam podcast. We're here talking this evening about something deep.
Dun, dun, dun.
Super deep. Submission and a marriage, submission and a relationship, however you want to put that. But we are talking about submitting yourself to your significant other, to your husband, to your, to your wife, to your children, all that. So let's get into it.
It's gonna get hot.
Right here, Ephesians 5:22. Wives, submit yourselves unto your own husband, unto the Lord, as unto the Lord. Let me make that correct, because I don't want y'all to say she didn't say that verse right. For the husband is the head of the wife, even as Christ is the head of the church, and he is the savior of the body. This scripture is like right on. And like Grace, you mentioned early, a lot of people skip this part of the Bible. A lot of women don't like to be submissive.
They don't like it
to their husband. A lot of women don't like to feel like they're being degraded or being less of a person or not even being included into what their husband or their boyfriend is making a decision on. So what do you think about submission, Grace?
Submission is kind of like to each his own. You know what I mean? What works for that couple and what is coming to a balance. Because everything has a balance. Even the universe that spins itself has a balance. And if things get tilted off balance, guess what? We got a lot of things going on. We got crash, moon running into the earth or into the stars. We got these things happening because God put things in the universe in balance. Now, if you want to play with this balance and get it off course, even our bodies, as we sit here today, has to stay in balance. And if our bodies get off balance, guess what? We get sick. So coming together is so hard and so tedious. And it's just, and submission is to each his own. Each relationship has to have a balance. And then in balance, there brings submission. And I think we did like a love of loyalty.
Yes, love of loyalty.
And there's a balance. Guess what? That's the balance. You know what I mean? Love and loyalty has a balance. It's not one over the other. It's got to be balanced. Everything has to weigh equally within itself. Every relationship has to weigh equally in itself. My husband and I have to weigh equally within itself in order to find balance. Even though I may weigh more, whatever he brings to the table is going to bring a balance.
That's dope.
Crystal might weigh more in this podcast, but guess what? I bring a balance. I bring the claps. She brings the snaps. So everything in a marriage has to balance out to find submission. Now, in a submission, you can't dominate. Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Well, because we want to get Wade's opinion on this.
Don't speak.
Too.
I'm listening. I'm like, go on now. Talk. Let's hear what you got to say. You know what I'm saying?
But I definitely want to hear your opinion because I'm loving that there's a man here because I want to hear your perspective on this as well. So let us hear it.
Well, I mean, I agree with Grace, basically to a degree, that there is a balance that, I think when you look at the word submit, and we're talking, well, I guess whether we're talking
biblically, most, or when you use the word submit, period, when you hear it, most women, not all, maybe a lot, let me not say most, a lot of women, they start cringing immediately because it's like,
Mhm.
what do you mean submit? I'm not submitting to no man. Ain't no man gonna be over me. Can't nobody tell me what to do. I'm not gonna, be listening to no man or whatever. Now, first, and if we're talking about it biblically, then we're not even talking about a boyfriend and girlfriend anyway. So if you got a boyfriend, this don't apply to you.
Right.
It really
Right.
don't. Because if we talking,
You don't know if Pookie gonna be there tomorrow.
ain't no guarantee. You know what I'm saying?
That's true. I should have said that. Thanks for clearing that up.
Because it don't apply. I think you and I had this conversation, Crystal, and I was saying, we were talking about something else, and I said, we can't put God's word and what God says on everybody. And what I mean by that is, well, if they just did what God said, yeah, but everybody don't ascribe to what God said. So we could say that, but how could we expect him or her to listen to what God has to say when they don't believe what God says to begin with?
Right.
They're like, or they're not a Christian. Let's just say they're not a Christian. And we can never really know, but I'm just saying, let's just say they're not one. Then we can't really say that they should ascribe or subscribe to what thus saith the Lord. It's like if something is going on in your house and you tell your kid to say something that don't pertain to mine, they don't have to abide by those rules because that's not his or her house. And the same thing with somebody who is not under the covenant of God, the biblical covenant, being saved, being a Christian, whatever. So if we're using the word submission, even though it's a blanket word, if we start using it biblically, we can't expect everybody to roll with it. But if you are a believer, if you are a Christian and you do believe in the infallible word of God, then you say, well, what God says here is what it is. Like you can't take this part and be like, yeah, this is so cool. Yeah, that's what God said. And then you're like, I don't know about that one. Like I remember when I first got saved early on, I said to God, all right, God, everything that I believe. But if I read in your word that it's different than what I believe, then I'm going to change my belief to that.
Yeah.
Then I also had to throw in a truth or an honesty moment. Now, however,
Yeah.
that I'm going to always do it, but I believe it. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it says, thou shalt not steal. Sorry, but I needed these napkins from McDonald's. So, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's so petty, but isn't that still stealing? No, you know what I'm saying? So even though I believe that thou shalt not steal, I needed some napkins for my glove compartment in my car. And so I just grabbed a whole stack of those things left, or a whole thing of straws, So I'm saying that all to say, we got to make sure that we keep it in its context in terms of who you talking to, you know what I'm saying? But if we're talking submission, if we're talking about it biblically and what the Bible says, I thought one of y'all read it a little while ago, wives, because it says wives. It didn't say girlfriends. It didn't say,
Right.
other, what you call it, domestic partnership, and whatever. Wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands as unto the Lord, because you're doing it all under his covenant anyway. For the husband is the head of the wife, even as Christ is the head of the church. And that we as the body are to submit ourselves to God, because there's the order, there's a quote unquote pecking order. Then why does it have to now be out of place because you don't like the word submit?
Right.
We can submit here, but we won't submit here. But now we like you mentioned before, Grace, balance. Now we out of balance. Again, everything is not going to be hunky-dory. You know, we're not going to get it right every time. You know, we all buck against the system sometime, you know what I'm saying? But I just believe that, you know, if you have the genuine belief of what submission is and how you submit to your husband, which is simply allowing, for lack of a better word, him to run the household. Now you both make decisions. You agree. He says something. You said something. We come together. What do you think? Well, what do you think? That's cool. But I tell you what, based on what you said and based on what I'm saying, if we did this, we'd come out with a better outcome. Versus, well, I think what I'm saying is the way to go, and so therefore, now we're rocking the, you know, we're rocking the boat. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, I got an oar, you got an oar. You know what I'm saying? Let's take.
I think a lot of time where a lot of women have come into relationships or even into a marriage. I'm just going to just say marriage because that's where it's important.
Right, but I think it begins on that. Let me say this part. I think you get an understanding or an idea of where it is based on a relationship. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, if she is bucking you now,
yeah,
it's a possibility.
Marriage.
You know,
right.
You know, if he's hitting you today and you still marry him, he's probably going to hit you then too. You get what I'm saying? Or whatever's happened before the nuptials. You know what I'm saying? But so I'm sorry, but go on.
But you guys got to do that. But for me, you guys, because I haven't said what I was, you know, in submission. For me, submitting to a spouse, for me, it wouldn't be a problem for me because I've always been that one. Grace shaking her head like, I've been that one too, and I use the word
all or none.
Yeah.
With Crystal, it's all or none. But
well, I don't think anything is wrong with all or nothing, but I do think, and I remember y'all were talking before. I think, well, I think I don't think anything is wrong with all or nothing. I just think something is wrong when you lose yourself in all or nothing.
Thank
you know what I'm saying? Like,
but I have lost myself in all or nothing because I allowed it to happen, and I was like, oh, now I'm stuck here.
Right.
What do I do next? Or how do I feel about this? And I just stayed in it longer. And now I'm at the point, okay, I'm in it all, but to a certain point. Mm-hmm. Now you're not going to treat me this way, but I can, you know, if we come to the agreement, I can submit to you. It's not like, oh, I'm not even going to submit to you. You come with me with that and I'll forget it. It's like, let's talk about it. Like you said, let's come together, talk about it, agree to disagree, and move forward in it.
Mm-hmm. So what does in you all's opinion or understanding, what does submission look like?
Great. Go ahead, Chris. Submission to me, I think it's in a marriage, it's an honor. I don't think it's degrading, if I'm answering your question right. For me, it's being able to honor the husband, even lifting him up and making him feel like, I won't even say because he already the man, but making him feel like he's the man of the household and holding his place. That's what it is to me. And it's I always bring it up, love, being respectful, and all of that. Submission. That's what's to me. What do you think?
Submission is understanding when it's your turn.
Your turn meaning what?
Yes, understanding. This is what submission looks like to me. Mm-hmm. Understanding when it's your turn. Understanding when it's time.
Expound on that.
Yeah. Understanding when it is time for me to handle this.
So in other words,
understanding when it's time for my husband to handle this. And understanding when it's time for us to stand together and look and face that world. Because every day you cannot be strong enough. You can take the strongest man that I know. I'm going to say The Rock. And all that, behind all those muscles, behind all of that, his success still lies on his ex-wife. Isn't that funny?
You said
In
his
that
success
frame,
went down?
his ex-wife pushed him. They got a divorce,
Mhm.
and his ex-wife became one of his biggest business
I
partners.
guess they're business partners, right? Yeah.
Understanding when it's your turn.
Mhm.
Understanding when it's your turn to just submit and let me handle this. That's what submission looks like. It's a team. It's not
That's true.
always, you always have the last say, or your idea is the best. That's high school. That's stuff we fought over in high school. This is real world we're talking about. A lot of people don't understand how real life, I need to see your face. A lot of people don't understand how real life is.
That's true.
Life
too.
is so,
Yeah.
it's not about winning.
Mhm.
It
Because
took me
guess
some
what?
time to even
You ain't gonna
learn
win
that.
every
Yeah.
day.
Well, it's
Can you
about
submit?
winning, but it's about winning as the team, not winning as the
Right.
right,
Even though
right.
your wife could have had this $1 million deal, but in her spirit, she felt like that wasn't the right deal.
Mm.
Can you submit and let her make that decision? Because this is her turn to decide for your future,
Mhm.
not just for your future, but your family's future. Can you submit to that?
Mhm.
And then me understanding when my husband hit the lotto, whatever, we move into Florida. We've already come to conclusions that, hey, one day we're going to live in Florida. And when it's become his time to say, okay, now's the time. I've set this money aside. Can I submit to that? Even though it's telling me I won't get to see Crystal every day, I won't get to see my mom, which is 30 minutes. Can I submit to his time to do what he needs to do to make him happy?
Mhm.
Mhm.
It's
I
not
guess
always about one winning over the other. It's
right.
about keeping things in balance.
That's good.
That's what submission looks like to me.
No, I agree with that. See, I don't one, I wasn't raised in the church, so we were talking
Yeah.
about this the other day, Crystal, when I said, see, you have a different understanding of the word submission. You have a biblical base for the
Mhm.
word submission. I understand it biblically, but I also just understand the word just based on even the way the world looks at it. You said
Yeah, life.
uh of life, right? Jeannie Ma,
Mhm.
Yeah.
uh, on the real when she was talking about submission and her perspective on it, which made totally sense.
Yeah.
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 I think the other three were in not agreeing, but agreeing, or agreeing, but not agreeing with her.
One just flat out said, I'm not doing it.
submitting. No,
I'm not
doing
doing
One
it.
said
That's
it.
more of a 40 and 50s thing and not a 20th
Yeah.
century thing.
But yeah, see, I don't, people still sell pigs today. So I know sometimes you're like, well, that's the Old Testament when they was with the pigs, and that's back in the Bible days. No, people still sell pigs today.
Right.
So some
Right.
stuff, it just applies. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It doesn't matter whether it was the 1600s or the 2000s, it still applies. But I can't speak for them women because they coming from a different perspective. Some of it is the way you were raised, your environment. It's like that nature and nurture thing. Some of the things is the way you were raised, and then some of the things, what is
Sometimes people
it?
just get burned in that situation.
Mhm.
And so you get tired. That's what I'm saying. So it's so many different things that bring about a conclusion or bring about the way you feel about a thing.
Yeah.
I think I don't know if you heard my last podcast when I had my buddy I grew up with, when I was talking about when you said you get burnt or you get tired. I said, growing up where I grew up and hanging out where I hung out at and doing some of the things that I done, it waxed my heart cold. So, it was a heart of stone for real, because it was like, oh, that's nothing, whatever, it became that regardless. So if you're talking about a certain thing, I can easily be like, so what,
Yeah.
anyway. So the same way we have to look at it for them women or anyone. Certain things create certain, mindsets, certain ways you look at stuff, your environment, the way you were raised, all that stuff contributes to you. It helps you form where you are right now. If you have never been loved, you know, if you been boyfriend, if it's bad, foul, and whatever, and then you finally meet one just like, oh, you know, you're like, I've never known love like this before. I used to think this way, but this is helping me think another way, and it's helping me form a whole different opinion.
Yeah.
It's like when women say all men are dogs. No,
I disagree
ones
with
you
that.
were dating, you know what I'm saying? The ones you
Yeah.
were involved with, or, you know, the circle you ran with, you know.
But you know what? When women say that, I always tell them, well, what in you attracts that?
Attracts, yeah.
Well, of
That
course, there's always some type of attraction.
yes. So therefore, you don't need to talk about them. You need to do a little bit of self-reflection.
My mother said to me back in 1990 something, six, I think it was, and we were packing to move. And I said, we were talking about my kids, and I got 3 kids, and their mama got 3 last names. And I said, I said something about, well, their mothers are crazy or something like that. I said, and and my mother
She's gonna
said,
be all right. She's gonna be all right.
did you get that? Did it get you?
Stop it.
Okay, all right. And she said, well, you picked them. And when she said that to me, it really made me think. It was like,
Oh, it had the mouth.
so I'm the crazy one. I'm doing the attracting. You get what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Now, shout out to my kids' moms, and y'all cool as a mug now. Want to put that out there for, I don't want no hate, you know. But no, but so you're right. It's what you attract. What are you attracting? What's about you that's attracting dogs? What's about you that's attracting abusive men? What's about you that's attracting whatever that's coming your way that's always causing you some hurt and some, you know, some hurt? You got to look at yourself. You know, Michael Jackson himself said it best. I'm looking at the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways.
Come on. He was preaching.
Yeah. He said no message could be any clearer. You know what I'm saying? It gets no clearer than that. You know, the Bible said what he said. He just said it a different way. The Bible says, you know, instead of pointing at the mote in somebody else's eyes, look at the beam in yours.
Yeah.
You know,
And we get so caught up. We get so caught up, even in marriage. Even in marriage, we find ourselves pointing the finger at the other person. And I remember in my marriage, this one that I'm in, I've been married twice. You know, hey, life happens.
yeah, life happens.
Even in my marriage now, I stopped and I said, let's stop playing the blame game.
Yeah.
Let's bring a solution, because right now we're wasting our time, because the way you feel is not wrong. The way that I feel is not wrong.
Right.
We have to find a common ground and work from there. And that's the most important part of submission.
Right.
And if
we
go back,
somebody to do is how to feel. So there's no wrong.
Say what? But it takes us back, you know, to where we were reading in Ephesians 5:22. Christ brought a balance because he brought himself into the equation. It's like, I'm not asking you to do anything for your spouse that I would not do for you.
Right.
You know, and so he led by example, saying, I'm going to be committed to you. Just like I want you to be committed to each other, not just be committed to something. You know what I mean? Stop.
And it goes all the way back to Adam and Eve. When she just went on about doing her thing, like, I'm not submitting, even though he just told me not to go, she went and did it anyway. But with her, at her defense, you know, she's the most hated woman I've ever known in my whole entire life. And a lot of people blame her. I don't blame Eve. I really don't. I don't even blame. I blame the serpent. That's who I blame.
because he knew that he was attacking the weaker person.
Mhm.
He knew what he was doing.
But
He knew he
in
couldn't
that,
get Adam.
he still like that was.
You said, let's go talk to the husband about this.
Yeah, let's go talk to him. Like, hold on, we got time.
He knew he was talking to the weaker person because guess what? Jesus and Adam been rolling for a while.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? They
Then
had that bump.
Help me.
They had that eye to eye. You know, Jesus was like, look, man, don't go down 53rd and you see that apple down there or whatever fruit you ate. You know, he was like, okay, ride or die, we got this. But then there was a plan anyway, you know, whether we know it or not. Then he brought this weaker vessel, and God put her in that place, and then allowed the serpent. You think God didn't see it? He saw it. You know what I mean? He knew what was going down, but he wanted to know your subjection to Adam. Can you be as subjective to me? You know, can you be submissive to me in my word? If I say, don't touch it, don't touch it.
But I really think, because you said he come to a weaker vessel, I don't think she was weak.
I do.
It was just at a time.
I do.
Say your piece now. Don't stop to say what you're saying.
I don't think she was weak at all. I think it was just a decision that she made. I don't think she was weak at that time. It was just a decision. Like, hey, this is a good idea. At the time, you know, we get in ourselves like, hey, this is a good idea. I'm fixing to do this. And then it failed. It was a decision that she made and it failed. I don't think she was weak at all.
We also have to.
You think that God made a weak help me?
No.
I don't think she was weak at all.
I feel as if he knew, I believe that he knew that Adam had a strong relationship with Christ. So if we are in a relationship, let's say I'm a ratchet girl, right? And I see my sister Crystal have something that I desire in a man. You got a man, and this is what women do it all the time, and men equally. I'm not talking bad about women, but it's an equal playing field. But women are more, you know,
prone to,
put down because of it.
Right.
So why would I even attack you? Because you're going to protect your man. You're going to fight for him. But if your man got the slightest inkling weakness, who am I going to go for? I'm going to go for the weaker person. I'm going to find some type of weakness in that person where I can slither up in there.
You are the weakest link. Goodbye.
You know, so you're going to do those things. And the devil, he seeks every day to find our weakness. You know what I mean? In our marriages. If we can just, tell Grace, you can do this without him. You don't need him. And we put a lot of blame on the devil, but it really ain't the devil. It's our egos, our pride.
Again, the decisions that we make.
And it makes us weak. It makes us vulnerable. But if we're not in balance with each other, that balance brings strength. It brings reverence. It brings everything.
You're big on this balance.
I'm off, man, because I want my stuff in balance. I don't want it to be.
I have talked with G-Wade, and he has always talked about peace. Don't come into my space.
Do you think peace brings submission?
Peace does bring submission.
Absolutely. Do you think peace brings about a certain submission in a relationship?
I think peace sets a tone. Whether it brings about a submission, because I guess if I'm speaking for me, if peace is disrupted, then I just remove the disruption. Like I won't lose the peace, to deal with the disruption. I get rid of the disruption because I enjoy my peace. It works for me. So I don't know if it brings about submission. I think if a woman sees that this is a peaceful situation,
Mhm.
environment, atmosphere, whatever, you only have two choices at that point. Do I want to come in and become a part of that peace or be the peace in that,
Mhm.
or do I disrupt it? And like I said, for me, I don't even deal with the disruption. I don't try to figure out whether or not you want to be peaceful. Peace. You know what I'm saying? it,
Right.
it becomes that for me, because I'm like, I've worked hard to get peace, and to have peace, and now at this point, the peace that surpasses all understanding, I don't, I guard that. In fact, the Bible says, let that guard your heart and mind, and I guard it. I don't let anything disrupt it.
I feel for me, like in my first marriage, my marriage uh past, it was a peace at one point, and then I think things happened and then transpired, and there was no peace at all. And it does. It
No
brings
peace for you or for both, because people in marriages,
Mhm.
what makes them happy and at peace might not make you happy and at peace.
I
You
feel
understand
like
what I'm
it
saying?
wasn't peace for me. I can't
Okay.
speak for the other
Okay.
party. I feel it wasn't peace for me because when things happen, and then it happened, it's like, okay, now I got another full-time job. Now I have to watch. I have to,
Mhm.
now I have to make myself feel
But in
extra.
that, did you feel like it was hard to find a submissive place
Yes,
in that?
absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
Because even when things transpire that brings an uneasy feeling in a
Mhm.
relationship, it's hard.
Especially when
But
there's a lot of disrespect
oh,
in it.
that really is not the case. But when there's a lot of outside influences that
That's
you don't have control of,
hmm
that's and that's where you really have to tune in on a situation to where Christ said that we should love each other till my husband should lay down his life for me. And when I hear that, that is not like dying. That is meaning leaving everything. You get rid of the outside life for me. You are killing off everything outside of us for us. Everything else has died to you. You know what I mean? You laying down everything that you could possibly love more than anything for me. Just like Christ laid down his life, he laid down everything that he could possibly think of for us. Now, can you do that for me? If you can't do that for me, I can't submit. Because guess what? Tomorrow I'm expecting another outside influence to come into our relationship and make things hard and difficult. So therefore, I'm having a submission issue. I'm having trust issues, security issues. All of that stuff falls under submission. And it's hard for people to lay down their lives for a person. It's hard for you to give up everything for cake, uh, for the ones you love, or you know what I mean. I'm saying it backwards. It's hard for. Oh, I just said it backwards. Take what I said and twist. Okay, y'all. Just turn that junk around. Real quick.
Turn around.
It's hard for you to let KJ go for other things, right? Because you really love KJ. I really love Ted. It's hard for me to just say, I'm going to throw my son away and take this. But guess what? My son is going to feel. I can't submit to my mama. I don't trust you. You've hurt me. It's the same thing. But we expect our kids, man, I hate this. I hate conversations like this because it brings a light, even
It
with us
does.
talking upon ourselves, you know? And when Christ comes, man, we're going to be in some trouble because he's not asking you to just die. He's asking you to let everything from the outside go, kill that crap and submit
I want to read just a little bit.
and commit.
I want to read it. It says, a wife who chooses to take an attitude of submission towards her husband is a wife who has a heart of being supportive to her husband. She does so because she chooses to. And choosing to support her husband is the empowering him to have the self-respect he needs. He will develop into a kind of man who accepts his role and responsibilities in the home. He will seek to carry out his God-ordained position position of protecting, providing for, and leading his family. When a wife submits, she is being a helper to her husband in the broad, biblically sense of that word. I don't think I should have read that part, but anyway.
Yeah. When the wife submits, she's being a helper to her husband in the broad biblical sense of that word. It's how
right. Okay.
You got it. Yeah.
Right.
And so even in that, that's saying I'm allowing you, and you're allowing me. So guess what? We come in a balance, in agreement. He feels empowered. I feel loved. I feel protected. But y'all, somebody breaking my house tonight, I'm gonna be the one swinging.
No.
You're not gonna help. He's gonna be like, get him, Grace.
But I feel, for me, and this is all about submission. For me, I am willing to be submissive to my husband. The next husband that I'm gonna have, you're gonna have me wholeheartedly because I'm willing, and that's for me. That's, like I said, it's biblically. If you don't feel that, and again, like Wade was saying, is what if somebody else don't believe in God? But that's part of it. You have to really understand, and that's really gonna make your family. It's gonna make all of us grow. We're gonna prosper. We're gonna be, that's just my perspective on that. That's just me. What about you?
I'm gonna say that my husband.
But wait, but in that, I want to, be able to come to my husband and be like, okay, babe, what do you think about this? And we can come to some type of agreement. So you go ahead.
In that statement right there, even when I was wrong, my husband still allowed me to make a mistake. He still allowed me. I was like, I'm gonna do this, man. This is gonna work. I don't think you should do that, Grace. But I'm gonna let you make your decision, But I'm gonna support you either way it goes, And I did it. And this is just money wise, different things, life. And I did it. Didn't work out how I thought. My husband was still the shoulder to cry on. And he was like, I told you, but he didn't do it like that. He's like, well, babe, we talked about it, but I told you I would let you do it. He allowed. It's just I'm a fan of grace, and I can't help it. I am a fan of grace. I love grace.
Well, I think everyone should love grace. But yeah, no, I agree with that. I mean, in terms of
you mean grace.
No, she means the grace of God, right?
I'm talking about me, right?
She's talking about her.
I'm a fan of me, of trying different things, being ambitious, spare of the moment,
right,
enjoying life, spontaneous. And I'm about that. But my husband brings balance to that. By every time I'm spontaneous, he's like, no. So when he does that and it's that hard of a no, I know I need to step back and allow him to move forward.
Right. And now, that goes to the word submission. It's that.
Yeah.
Listen, I get it. I yield my will over to you because what I was planning, ultimately you see something different. So I'm going, you've seen me do this before. and it failed or whatever. And
Yeah.
I'm still that type of person. So nobody, I wouldn't imagine trying to would want to stop you from being the spontaneous,
Right.
outgoing, adventurous person. But then at the same time, some stuff does have to be
Yes, and that's what he
real.
does
Yeah,
for me.
yeah.
He brings a real special balance to me.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And I don't think anybody else could do that,
Yeah.
you know, except my uh my spouse, you
Mhm.
know. And in that, there is a submission in that. So I'm not against submission, but my vision of submission is totally different than Crystal's. And I believe that my husband is a real chilled, kind of laid back kind of guy. Do you think?
Yeah.
He really is.
Like, way.
And he's like, nothing really bothers him until it comes down to his family. You want to hear my husband cuss? Mess with his family. And it's funny. They probably won't even take him seriously because it's just weird. You know, I'm just like, dude,
They're not gonna look like,
did that just even come out of your mouth? Shut that
what
up.
the hell?
Shut it up, Dale. Shut it up right now. But you know, but that's something that he's passionate about, you know, because he knows the value in us. And that brings a level of submission for both of us. Because he told me one day, we were riding in the car. Okay, 5 minutes. Okay. She
5
told me,
seconds.
oh, 5
Then
seconds.
we gotta get
Then
away.
we're gonna give you your time to shine. Okay. Promise you. We brought you on here to shine, man. And we're gonna let you shine, okay? So what I was saying was, she made me lose my thought, man.
Got this time to talk.
Wait. So my husband told me this one day, on a real note, on a real tip. We was riding, you know, we like to do these little spontaneous rides. And he was taking me in the backwoods, and I was praying, Lord, please don't let this car break down, which the car won't break down. Because we're in like white man's land. We're in the middle of, promise you. I was like, I'm gonna be the only fly in the middle. So we get around Salem, Arkansas. And he looks at me because we used to ride and take care of his pops up there. And he looks at me and he's like, I love you a lot. I was like, I love you too, Dale. You know, me just being crazy. I love you too, man. But when I looked at him, he had this look on his face and he was like, you have made me a better man. That is words that every woman wants to hear. And that day, I felt like I had reached an ultimate submission because I brought him to a point to where he feels like he's done it. Like and I'm not saying that it's me. I'm not saying that. Please, y'all out there in the world, I took no credit in the making of this commercial. It's all them.
Crazy.
Look, at that point, I got quiet and I said, you know, I couldn't really have done this without God.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't be the person that you're talking about without God because yeah.
Get together.
Because I had to go through some molding myself. Because you know how strong-willed I was. You know how horrible. I don't want to say horrible. I'm not a horrible person. Let me put that out there too, folks. I'm a good person. I was just lost.
So, G Wade, give us your point, your last thoughts on submission.
Well, I think submission, we can look at it by definition, or we can look at it biblically, and it is exactly what it says in scripture. But submission operates different in each household.
That's
Because we are individual people. So, as long as you are walking in agreeing, as long as you are equally yoked, as long as you are on one accord, as long as you guys are on the same, going down the same path and not trying to, pull in two opposite directions, submission in that regards just looks different for everybody. Um, you know, like Grace said, he knows when to reel her in. She can wild out here like, I got an idea, got another one. Well, got another one. Well, I'll let you do that one, but that one right there, no, can't do that one because I already see down the road what that's going to do. So we're just going to put the ixnay on that one. But and while you, Crystal, you said you're willing to give it your all, but that's you. You are two different people. I think any man would want a woman who is at least willing, because we all have our own wills, who are at least willing to yield their will over to their husband when it's called for. Not him trying to have usurp his authority, him trying to just control the situation, him trying to, well, it's my way or the highway, or what I say is,
I know, right?
you know what I mean? What I say is the final authority.
Yeah.
To a degree, you could say it is, but I think if you're doing it lovingly, I think if you're doing it gingerly, I think if you're doing it with, loving your wife as the weaker, treating her as the weaker vessel, loving her as Christ loved the church, I think all of those things come into play, and then you still have a harmonious household. Solomon said himself, I'd rather be on the rooftop corner of a house on top of the house than to be inside with a contentious woman, somebody who's just all this calamity and drama filled and all that kind of stuff. But if you both are, if it's that yin and yang, if it's that well synchronized, that how they get in the pool and they do the dances together, if it's well synchronized, I think everything operates in harmony. But you are entitled to be your own self.
What's up with y'all and tone?
Say that one more time.
What's up with you guys and tone?
Like the tone of the voice.
I guess it's the way we end the sentence. Okay. No, you asked me. Okay. So you asked me, did you check the mail today? And I was like, no, why? Does that sound like a tone?
I don't know. Everything's a tone.
I mean, but why? Is it the way I ended the sentence? Is it the way I end the sentence? You asked me, did you fly to Vegas today? No, why? Now, is that an offensive tone?
I don't know. I'm not, I would have to be the one who is receiving it, like to the person.
Okay, well then ask me a question. Any spontaneous question.
Did you go to work today?
Yeah, why?
I just wanted to know. So I'm not offended by it because I didn't get enough. I guess you're using the word tone. I didn't get enough negative tone to make me now come back.
And ask me the question.
Crystal, did you go to work today?
Yeah, why?
What do you mean why? I'm asking you, did you go to work? See,
don't I go to work every day?
No, that sounds and to answer that question, I don't know if you go to work every day.
Why?
I feel like men are very, now this is all submission, and I know we probably got to go wrap this up, but I feel like men are very sensitive to tone. I think y'all are very tone sensitive.
They sensitive to a lot of things. They sensitive
to a lot of people are sensitive to tone.
And I believe that because
name off some things,
because a lot of days I don't get it, because I mean, I could be like walking in the house and Roger's like, so did you eat lunch today? That's yeah. Why? No. Well, I didn't eat lunch, and I'm just like, and I think a lot of times my husband just be wanting to talk, start small talk. I'm trying to de-stress from my day, and so now,
but the person that I know, the Grace that I know how you can come across, and you can come across very rude.
Because if you catch me in that detoxing time, I'm not all the
You're
way
so rude.
detox. So you have to be
Well,
careful. And so
like I say, well, maybe one of two things. Maybe one, you should sit in the car a little longer before you go in.
it's my neck garage. I ain't playing with them games.
That's another thing that men, why do we sit in the car for a very long time instead of like rushing to get out?
See, but I used to be in so much better mood when I got home
Totally gonna
because
pass the
yeah, I'm gonna go past that question because I would drive an hour and 15 minutes to get home.
Mhm.
So I would be real detoxed. But now I got 5 minutes and 5 seconds to
Mhm.
do all of that detoxing and process what I used to process over an hour and 15 minutes.
Mhm.
And so I
Mhm.
said last week, I said, you understand, I used to have an hour and 15 minutes to detox.
Well, I feel that that's a thing you need to work out.
Well, I don't know if it's a thing that she needs to work out more so than it's a thing that he, in this sense, probably needs to understand. Like, in other words, I need a minute when I get home. You get what I'm saying? So if you need a minute, then you should be allowed to have the minute.
But
Not-
what's that
not
person
have
that's
to feel
at
like you
home
fully
is
engaged.
excited to, that person at home is excited to see you, maybe want to come up and give you a hug and kiss, and you trying to detox? Ain't nobody got time.
Look, my husband has this forehead kiss thing that he does. I would rather him walk up and kiss me on the forehead and walk away and let my dogs run all off. They get on my nerves, run around on my feet and me not say anything, let me go detox for just a few more minutes, probably 15 minutes top, 5 on the road, 10 at the house, Give me that.
No, I can
Because
see that.
and I believe my jobs are always so high stress.
What do you say? He said he could see it, but I'm just saying, like, I'm comparing the two. Like, y'all probably saying, but I'm just saying,
My
like,
stress
me.
level at my jobs. I have stress, high stress level jobs. It's not like I walk in. When I walk in, I got to be on 100 all the time. Like my mind has to be like that.
Yeah.
So I'm working on, in which I've done it this week and a little last week, of being that receptive wife when I walk. If I don't say anything at all, if he says, "Hey, did you eat lunch?" I say, "Yeah, I did." What did you have? Then that second question, you might get a why at the end. Freddie's why, and he's like, I just want to know what you
But
had
see,
lunch.
to me, I think that's just each his own. Because for me, I can be like, because my job, I have to be on my A game because I can mess up a lot of things. So it is mentally stressing for me. But for me, when I get off work, I'm ready to be like, hey, because I'm
But a
just a
lot of
person.
times,
It's just a different.
a lot
But
of times I feel
that
that.
just goes back to what we were saying about submission. I mean, it's whatever works for you. And
Yeah.
what works in your household. Like, so if she is I need a minute, I don't think nothing's wrong with the minute.
Yeah, I'm not saying there's something wrong
Crystal,
with
that
it.
type in the morning, she gonna be standing in her window looking like this.
Good morning.
And I'm like,
Like it's 4 a.m.
I was
Right.
like, give me a minute.
So in that regard, you can't make or expect everybody to be there.
Mm-hmm.
That's why, you've heard me say before to you, read the room. So sometimes you just have to read the room.
Take a minute. Stand it.
You got to know if somebody is.
Because, I say that I'm a morning person, but I'm like an all day person because I'm because my mom always tell me, you just gotta calm down, chill. You're too excited. You gotta come.
I know Mama didn't. Mama and Crystal are carbon copy. Me and Crystal was trying to sneak off one time, mind our business. Here she come. What y'all doing? And then trip over the sidewalk. I'm like,
that was too funny.
Mama, you don't think we trying to be Inspector Gadget here? We trying to go gadget down to the tiki.
We can get us on the train.
No, stop.
For the first time.
You can't be nothing right now. Go back to the room. So we are picking up off the floor. I mean,
off the ground.
Come on.
But you guys, this has been an exciting, really.
So what's the takeaway though? What's the takeaway? What's the moral of the story when we talk about submission?
Your submission will never look like someone else's.
There
so don't try to image your marriage off someone else's.
Yeah, because everybody's marriage is totally different. Relationship is totally different.
You have to do what makes your world, which is your husband and your children. You have to make your world balance.
Oh, I agree.
That's cool.
I agree.
That's cool. Good
That's-
job, Greg.
Good job, Chris. Good job, G.
All right here on the Morning Jam podcast, you guys, right here with your sister and your friend Crystal Cross and Grace Melton, special guest G Wade of WadeWorksStudios. You guys in the podcast record WadeWorksStudios in Atlanta, Georgia. You guys, www.thinkingoutloudnetwork.com.
Don't think too loud because everybody ain't for you. It ain't for your plan.
Peace out, you guys. Love y'all. Peace and blessings. Bye.
Yeah.
If you enjoyed this podcast, tune in each week on thinkingoutloudnetwork.com. Be sure to subscribe, hit that notification bell, and share with your friends and family. Until next time, peace.